So when we left off prior to going on break, and John, can you give me a hand check real quick? I saw hands that looked suspiciously on a. Yeah. So. Okay. So right before we went on break, what war had ended?
French and Indian War.
French and Indian War. Hey, Edie's here.
Hey, who's here?
Edie.
Oh, what?
Okay. French and Indian War had ended. And hello, you're on the big screen, Edie, so everyone can see you. Right. Don't pick your nose. Okay. So we had the French and Indian War, and now we're about to deal with the aftermath of that and how that kind of leads into the American Revolution. Okay. Later this week, we're going to watch some clips from HBO's John Adams. HBO did the series on John Adams. And so there are a couple clips there that show the Boston Massacre, kind of the things that are going on for that. There's another clip in there we will not watch. It's about inoculation. Anybody know what inoculation is? It's what we did prior to vaccination. So one of the diseases they had back then, and this was an epidemic that like Boston dealt with. It's called smallpox.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Smallpox is like chickenpox on steroids. Your entire body gets covered in all these boils, and it's extremely painful.
It's not even spots.
Yeah, it's boils. It's like you pop it, and it's like a big pimple. Big pimples all over your body. That if you pop, pus comes out. Okay.
I would love the top one.
Okay. Oh, Edie's face is like, oh. Okay. But one of the things that they did and they show in the deal is inoculation. And what they do with the inoculation back then was they would get someone who was infected with smallpox, and they would slice open a boil, okay, and get some of the pus from that boil, and then they'd come over to you and cut your hand a little, or make a small incision into your arm.
Is this supposed to be a ritual? Torture?
No, it's not torture. It's called inoculation. And what they would do is they would take that pus and they would smear it into the cut. The idea behind it is to get your body a small amount of the virus, so that your body then fights it and develops an immunity. Okay. Okay. Wait. Vaccines are better though, because in a vaccine it's a dead virus. Okay. The viruses in vaccines are dead, and so there's no chance of infection. Okay. With inoculations, I mean, you're putting live virus into a healthy body. So it did run the risk of infection and death. Okay. But that's what they had to do back in the 1700s. Like that, they didn't have vaccine development.
How long would it last?
It's the inoculation. So once your body develops immunities to viruses, and those immunities will last for different amounts of time depending on the virus. Like the common cold, that's a virus, and you get people all the time get the common cold, and then they recover and they build up an immunity to that virus. But between then and the next year, that virus will change. It will mutate, and so people can get reinfected. So, yeah. John, why are you joining our Zoom? Oh, yes, I need to add the slides to y'all. Thank you for reminding me on that. I did forget to do that. But it will be a lot quicker this time than it was for fifth period. Fifth period was just slow.
Yeah.
Sorry. Fourth period was just slow and I jinxed it, right? Look at that. So slow.
What'd you get for Christmas?
Nothing.
Oh, okay, your mom didn't get you anything? Okay, but like,
No, what we decided to do is save money for a large expense for the farm. So one of the things we're looking at getting for the farm is a side-by-side.
what's that?
It's like an off-roading go-kart. Okay. One thing we're also looking at is a skid steer, kind of a compact track loader, like a Bobcat machine, so we can do some more work around the property. So those things cost a lot of money, and so we're there. All right, there. Y'all should have access to it now. Okay. So let's talk first about this phrase. No taxation without representation. What does this mean? Wait, what did you say, Timmy? Because it seemed like you were finishing Harmony's statement, but I couldn't tell what you said. Okay. John.
It's the vote that people should not have to pay taxes and they don't get to choose who's in office.
Yeah, and how do we choose who's in office?
Voting.
Voting for which office?
Presidential.
Sorry.
Timmy, what'd you say? Not presidential. We are not represented by the president. We don't vote for the president.
Well, I thought we
The electors vote for the president. We vote for electors who vote for the president.
So we,
It's, yeah,
Huh? Wait,
Okay.
what?
it's
That
weird.
makes sense.
It is weird, but let's go on. But it's not the president that we're represented by. Who else in government are we represented by?
House of Representatives.
Senate.
Senators and House of Representatives, which I think, Harmony, you were saying very snakishly
Yes.
with a lot of S's. Okay, so, yeah, senators and House of Representatives. Senators, each state gets 2. Okay, so we vote, that's where we get our representation today. Their issue in the colonies were that they were not being represented by Parliament. And so they had an issue with that, with Parliament taxing them without them saying that we can vote for our people. Now, surely we learned our lesson, right?
No.
Is there anybody in the United States that is taxed without being represented? The District of Columbia. The District of Columbia, Washington, the people, like, do people live in Washington, D.C.? Yeah, like beyond government officials, right? Like there are people that live there, make their living there, private people. Do they pay taxes?
Wait, like people now?
Like
Yes.
people like you and me live in Washington, D.C.
They don't pay taxes?
No, my question was, do they pay taxes?
Yeah.
Yes. Is DC a state?
No.
No, it is not a state. So do they get senators?
No.
No. All right. So DC doesn't get 2 senators because they're not a state. So DC is not represented in the Senate. In the House, do they get a representative?
Yeah.
They do, but that representative can't vote on anything in the House.
Yeah, they don't. So what's the
Yes.
point of
They're
even
not allowed
having
to
one?
actually vote or anything.
Uh-huh.
Why do we even?
So they can at least have a say and bring up the idea that, hey, DC, the people living in DC want statehood. Okay.
Wait, what? So DC is just like a.
It's a district.
It's more like a territory than a state. It's a territory of the United States. That's a easy way to think of it. It's not a state though, right? So they are not represented in Congress, yet they have to pay the taxes that Congress passes. It's kind of like deja vu. We fought a war over taxation without representation. Now in DC, we're taxing them without giving them representation.
Let's go.
Okay, which in fact, if you go to DC and look at the license plates of the people that live there, they will say at the bottom of the license plate, no taxation without representation. Okay, now I do not think that anytime soon that DC will get statehood.
That would just cause more drama. Well, not drama, but problems.
Well,
I mean, yeah. 'cause
I'm sorry?
It would be an odd number of states and that would get.
That actually wouldn't matter. Odd number of states. I mean, we had 13 states to begin with that would become states. Having an odd number would not cause an issue. Senators each state gets 2 senators, so you'd still have an even number in the Senate. And we would still have 435 representatives. That wouldn't change either.
But what if people like want to move to DC because they're like taxed?
Huh?
What if people want to move to DC because you wouldn't get taxed?
No, you are getting taxed. You are getting taxed.
That's their whole point.
That's the whole point. They're getting taxed, but they're not represented in Congress. They don't, yeah, so,
Oh.
right? So their license plates are complaining that they are being taxed without representation,
Oh, okay.
right?
That's so sad.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of look at where that came from. Why? Let's answer these questions first. After the French and Indian War, which country owned much of North America?
British,
The British, Great Britain.
England.
Great Britain, England, yeah. Okay. What did Great Britain, so let's talk about the French and Indian War. What were the colonists' expectations after the French and Indian War? They would get to move where?
What?
West of the Appalachian Mountains.
West of the Appalachian Mountains, right? Into French territory, which is also
Indian.
Indian territory. So after we won the war, and because Great Britain and the colonies, that's our country's origin, right? Our colonists started moving west, but that made a problem for who?
Indian.
Native Americans, yeah. Because they didn't like white people moving onto their land, right? Taking their land, okay? Yeah, who wouldn't, right? I used the example last class. Let's say Texas, you go into Harmony's house and you say, Harmony, get out, I'm living here now. Harmony, would you enjoy that? Would you fight him for that?
Yes.
Punch him in the throat?
Yes.
What?
No. Yeah. So it would cause conflict, right? So what does Great Britain pass in order to prevent this conflict? Christian? Nah, not really a treaty.
You can't claim territory over the.
What's it called? What's the document?
Oh.
Timmy. Wait, what did you say first? It's not a treaty.
Proclamation of.
There we go. Proclamation of 1763. Okay, now put yourselves in the colonist shoes. Wear thick socks. So if in your colonist shoes, you just spent 7 years fighting this war, maybe you lost a brother or a husband to the war, but you have the expectation that you're going to move west of the Appalachian, like you're going to gain that territory, right? So do we like the idea that our soldiers go into battle and they die for a pointless cause? Do we like that? No. What's it called? Dying in, it starts with the V, vain. We don't like it if soldier, like the idea that soldiers would die in vain, right? Yes.
Why can't they move up to Canada?
Because they live down, the climate is better down. You can grow tobacco further south. You can't grow tobacco up in Canada. It's too cold. But it's all about money.
Okay, but don't they
Work-
put
Okay.
us
different
back
job.
on
Nope,
Canada?
it's all about money. Okay. So you're now being told, you have this expectation, you had brothers, you had husbands that died in the French and Indian War. And now you're being told that you can't move west of the Appalachian? What's the point? What was the point of the war then? Right? This is a thought that would go through these colonists' mind. Why did they die? They died in vain. Is that going to make you mad? If you felt like your brother or your husband died in vain, would that make you mad? Yes. Yes, it would. Okay. And so to enforce this proclamation, what does Great Britain do? They do send for it. Like how many people do they send over?
10,000.
10,000, right? It's not 30,000 troops in New York Harbor yet.
It's
Hamilton. 32,000 troops. Okay. All right. Ashley's singing along. I saw that, Ashley, and her head just disappeared. She was like a turtle. Okay. It was 10,000 troops to enforce the proclamation. And what was the financial situation of Great Britain? Christian? Debt, 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 because wars cost money. Okay. So Great Britain's like, okay, you know what? The people in England, they're already paying a lot of taxes. This war really didn't impact them. It impacted the colonists. Who started the war? The colonists. So that's 2 strikes against them. Should they pay for the war?
Yes.
And that was what the British government came to the conclusion of, that the colonists should pay for it. So they start putting taxes on goods that they are sending to the colonies. First off, what do we call the goods that come into a country? Imported. Starts with an I, right? If a good is going out of the country, it's exported. Okay, it's coming in, it's imported. What do we call taxes on an import? Starts with a
Income
T.
tax.
Nope. Starts with a T. Tariff. A tariff. Okay. Huh? A trade war. Yeah, between China and the US. Yeah. So over the past couple of years, we've been hearing a lot about tariffs, right? No? We have been hearing a lot about tariffs. Okay. So let's say we're buying things from Mexico and we put a tariff on the things that we're buying from Mexico. Who ends up paying that tax? Who? No, we do. The people who are buying it. Because let's say Mexico, they're making the stuff, okay? Avocados, because I think Mexico grows those, right? I've heard of avocados from Mexico. Okay. So they grow the avocado, and Timmy, you want to buy it. You don't like avocado?
I mean, I've had it,
You don't
but
like
like, I don't.
Chipotle?
Who likes avocado? Okay,
I love me some avocado.
all right. Denaya, you're buying the avocado.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm growing it in Mexico,
Yeah.
and Christian is the Customs and Border Patrol, which means the avocado has to go through him before it gets to you. Okay, but we put a tariff on things coming from Mexico. So I'm selling it to you, and as I give it to Christian, I've already gotten my money, but as I give it to Christian before you can buy it, what happens to the price of it? It goes up. So tariffs are paid by Denaya, by the people who buy it. So if we put a tariff on things from another country, we pay for it, not the other country. Okay. Economics, right? So the colonists are paying these taxes. Okay, Texas, let's say you're a merchant in the colonies, and you're importing these goods from Great Britain, and they're being taxed. Hey, the rest of y'all are colonists, okay? Do y'all like the idea that taxes are being raised on you? No. So what are you going to do about the goods that Texas is selling? Are you going to buy them?
No.
What do we call that?
No. I mean,
It starts with a B.
a bee.
A B.
Betrayal.
Boy.
Boycott.
Boycott.
I said that.
Boycott. It's the first example of cancel culture
Cancel culture.
being used.
Cancel culture is very dangerous in my opinion.
Okay. I'm saying cancel culture is a part of being human. It's not new. It is not new. Okay. So, because we often, when I say the term cancel culture, y'all think new, right?
No, I think of TikTok.
Okay, Twitter. Okay, so the methods in which cancel culture has been used, those are new, but the process is not. 2004, do y'all remember the country music? Well, you may still know of the country music group called the Dixie Chicks.
No.
Okay, guys, have y'all heard of the Dixie Chicks? Okay. The Dixie Chicks were a group of 3 female singers. One of them, at least one of them, was from Texas. Okay. And they were big in country music. Okay. Well, 2004, we're at war with Iraq, and the war's not going all that well. Who's president in 2004? Yeah. No, 2004, George W. Bush. This guy. Okay. And so he's from Texas. Okay. George W. Bush is from Texas. And what happens in 2004 is the Dixie Chicks go on a concert in the UK, in England. And Natalie Maines, the lead singer, who's also from Texas, said, "I am ashamed that George W. Bush is from Texas because of the Iraq War." Okay. Wait, guys, we're just doing cause and effects here. Okay. George W. Bush belonged to which political party? Republicans. Most people who listen to country music tend to be Republican. So how do you think the people who listen to country music, what do you think they felt about the Dixie Chicks statement? They were offended. They were mad, and they stopped listening to them. They were calling, 2004, they were calling into radio stations saying, stop playing their music. They had instances or groups, they'd gather people to bring all of their Dixie Chicks merchandise, throw it into a pile, and then roll over it with a steamroller. Okay. And then they boycotted their music and everything else. Dixie Chicks fell off the face of the earth. Right. That does that sound like cancel culture?
Okay, but I feel like nowadays
Yeah.
people don't care if they get canceled.
That may be, well, I mean, the Dixie Chicks have made a comeback. They have. It took time. But I just wanted to point out, cancel culture is not new. It's been going around. 2004, it was happening. And back here in the 1700s, it was happening. Okay. So Texas, you're our merchant, right? All the colonies, they stopped buying, they stopped going to your shop. How do you feel about that? Why?
Oh, doesn't have fun with stuff.
Which means you don't get any money, right? So this boycott would like, it didn't really impact Great Britain so much, but the colonial merchants did. So Texas, you still want to make a living, right? So how are you going to get around this import tax so that every colonist here will start buying your stuff again?
Illegal.
Smuggling. You're going to start smuggling. Go all Han Solo on, right? Minus the spaceship. Okay. But yeah, you're going to start smuggling. Okay. Great Britain, do they like the idea that Texas is now smuggling? No. So they start trying. They'll arrest Texas, find that he's smuggling. They'll arrest him, and they won't try him by a jury. They'll send him to England to be tried by a magistrate over there. Why do you think they would do that? Yeah.
Because the colonial people will sympathize with them, and also because they're also smuggling.
Well, not every, but let's say I arrest Texas. Okay, I'm the British here. Okay, I arrest Texas and I send him back to England. What would be the problem with getting a jury out of y'all, the other colonists, and saying, should I convict Texas for smuggling?
Well, there's some.
Are you as a colonist, are you benefiting from the smuggling?
No.
Yes, you are. Because you're not having to pay the higher price with the tax, right? So do y'all like, even though what Texas is doing is illegal under the eyes of the British government, do y'all like what he's doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So y'all would most likely let him go free. Okay. So in addition to taking him and trying him in England, British customs officials also were granted the ability to search wherever they wanted without a warrant, because they had a piece of paper that said what? What's this piece of paper called? Anybody know? It's a writ of assistance. It was just a piece of paper called a writ of assistance. Okay, that's it. Like it probably had some other words on there, but that was and that essentially gave these customs authorities the ability to search whatever they wanted and later on take whatever they wanted. Do we allow that today?
No.
What do police need if they're going to search your house?
Warrant.
A warrant. And do those warrants have to be pretty specific?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have to be signed by a judge.
They do have to be signed by a judge, right? And you do have to present evidence to that judge to get one signed, but they do have to be pretty specific. Let's say, for example, Bella is accused of kidnapping an elephant, a baby elephant, because they're cute.
She don't do something like that. I'm just joking.
Bella's actually thinking, how can I kidnap a baby elephant? Where can I put it? Right? Our baby elephants, they're cute, but they're still big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still pretty big. So if she's accused of that and I get a search warrant to look for it, I can only look in places that could hide a baby elephant. So I can't go into her house and open up her cabinetry. Like the drawers and stuff, because can a baby elephant fit in those drawers? No. If I did, and let's say I found a bunch of counterfeit bills, because in addition to stealing baby elephants, Bella is also a counterfeiter. Sounds like Bella? That's what Jill's told me. But if I have a search warrant only to search for the baby elephant and I find counterfeit bills in a place where a baby elephant could not fit, I can't use that evidence to convict her. It's improperly evidenced. So we've kind of gotten away. And the reason we have these rules now is because of our experience with Great Britain and what they did here. Okay. So 1764 comes along and Parliament passes the Sugar Act. Sweet, right? Okay. So the Sugar Act, it actually lowered the tax on sugar. Is that a good thing? Yeah. But do we as colonists want to accept that? If we accept that, what else are we accepting? Close with taxes. We're accepting the British government has the authority to tax us. And do we have representation in the British government? No. Therefore, we are arguing they don't have that authority. So that still caused us we weren't happy with that either. Okay. And so the colonists felt like their rights as British citizens were being violated because of this taxation without representation. All right, this is where we're going to stop. New taxes, we're going to stop with the Stamp Act. We'll pick up here tomorrow. You do have Cornell notes due tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. over 6-1. Okay. Huh?
So we have time to do like a large packet for what's
Nope. Nope. Yes, Timmy. Cornell notes. Yeah, reading lesson 1 in Cornell notes.
Chapter 6, lesson 1.
What?
Chapter 6, lesson 1.
Yes.
Can I answer the question?
There are no.
No.
Yes, there are. I
No.
read it in the chapter.
Kenneth, Cornell
It's
notes.
always 4.
Yes. I'm sorry.
We work on it in class.
Can you watch what?
Can we work on the Cornell notes in class tomorrow?
No, because we're going to finish up.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question about the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I'll see if I can answer that.
Yeah, what is?
It is okay. It is a memorial for all soldiers who were killed in action but never came home.
They were
Unidentified soldiers. Like we knew that they were missing in action. They're presumed dead, but we don't know who they are.
Yeah, but why do they have like the guards?
It's part of. It's tradition.
Okay, if you cross that line instead of going to where you're not supposed to, will they actually shoot you?
They won't shoot you.
They'll give you a warning.
Let's
If you do it again.
see if
So they will
YouTube has an
actually shoot
answer.
you. Yeah, they'll shoot you.
I've seen
Why would you-
someone tries to escape from North Korea, they'll try to do it.
It's a
That's
person
different,
that
yeah.
you don't know.
They'll check you.
Stop
They
it.
try to test
What if it's like a child though?
Well, that's different.
Well, they have told it's not really good.
They're not gonna let it in. This child is
It's not killed.
We're going to watch it without sound because I have not watched these before. And typically when someone gets pushed around violently, we- that is not the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Obviously.
It's an ad.
It is requested that all visitors stand behind. Get behind the rail. So they're going to yell at you.
What is this again?
Tomb of the Unknown.
So it's only 3 bodies.
No, it's a memorial. It's representative.
Oh. So it's just the brick, okay, but like, isn't that kind of all unnecessary? No.
It's out of respect.
It's out of tradition. I mean, are people going to be endangered if they do not do this? No, but it's out of tradition that they do it.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
This is probably
Awarded badge in the entire United States Army, behind military horseman ID badges and astronaut badges. To become a tomb guard, an old guard soldier must volunteer by applying for appointment to the tomb through the sergeant of the guard. To be considered for an appointment, the soldier must be highly motivated and disciplined, and possess a strong military bearing and soldierly appearance. If appointed, the soldier is assigned to the tomb for an initial 2-week training period. Upon reporting to a relief, the trainee is assigned a tomb guard trainer. The trainer informs the trainee of what is expected of them, including following strict rules, training guidelines, and the need for complete dedication and commitment to the tomb. The training cycle is intense, consisting of a series of 5 exhaustive tests over 6 to 12 months. These tests focus on ceremonial performance, uniform preparation, and knowledge. If the trainee completes the training cycle and passes the tests, they are able to flawlessly conduct 7 different types of ceremonies, meet the highest standards of uniform preparation, and recite 35 pages of information without error. If the trainee fails any
You know what they were doing with the lighter?
Burning so the.
They're not burning something onto it.
So the
You know how-
stitches won't come away?
No, but you know how like ribbons and nylon rope will start to fray?
Yeah, that's not good.
Okay, it looks kind of unkept if it starts naturally fraying, right?
Mhm.
So they'll take the lighter and they'll go through their uniform and they'll burn those frays to keep everything tight.
test, they are assigned back to their company. The successful trainee is awarded the Tomb Guard Identification Badge and will be from then on referred to as a Tomb Guard or badge holder by their fellow Sentinels. Demonstrating how serious a role this is considered to be, the Tomb Guard Identification Badge is the only military badge that can be revoked for any action that brings disrespect to the tomb. The Unknown Soldier. On the 11th of November 1921, the remains of an unknown American soldier were returned from the battlefields of France. Unidentified remains weren't uncommon during World War I, and without DNA profiling or reliable ways to match the list of missing soldiers with the discovered corpses, many bodies were simply marked as unknown. For this reason, the U.S. government approved the construction of a memorial in the Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia, United States. This would be the final resting place of the returned unknown soldier, and would serve as a monument to all deceased military personnel who were either lost or the remains never identified. The remains of the unknown soldier were interred beneath a 3-level white marble tomb covered in a stone slab. Intricate carvings decorate the sides, including wreaths and figures representing peace, victory, and valor. The rear of the sarcophagus includes an inscription which reads, "Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known but to God." Why you shouldn't mess with a tomb guard. While the role of the sentinel is mostly ceremonial, there are some things you just don't do when visiting the tomb of the unknown soldier. The old guards will appear strong and silent, that is, until you break one of their rules. Cross over the barrier into the plaza and you'll probably hear this.
Oh,
My goodness.
God.
Look at all this stuff. This is amazing.
They
This is
did do that on
perfect.
purpose.
So cute.
YouTube.
Place where
It is requested that all visitors remain behind the changing rails at all times. Remain behind the changing rails. Behind the chains and rails.
Respect and silence is required at all times. If you're being loud, rude, and obnoxious, you'll likely get this response.
Remain standing for this ceremony. It is requested that everyone maintains a level of silence and respect. It is requested that everyone maintain an atmosphere of silence and respect at all times.
These sentinels are very similar to the Queen's Guard at Buckingham Palace. However, they aren't trained to remain still at all times. Get too close and the sentinels will gladly point their M14 rifle straight at you. They aren't messing about. Day in the life of a tomb guard. The Old Guard is made up of 3 tomb squads or reliefs, numbered 1st through to 3rd. Unlike traditional army units, tomb reliefs are organized based on height, so that the tomb guards are similar in size during the changing of the guard. The 3 reliefs are on duty utilizing 24-hour rotating shifts. A tomb guard's day begins at 5 a.m., with arrival at the tomb quarters 1 for duty. The tomb guards will inspect the quarters, prepare their uniforms, review orders, and receive their duty assignments for the coming day. At 6:30 a.m., the tomb guards inspect the trainee's readiness and uniforms. If a trainee meets relevant standards, the tomb guard may allow them to walk the first morning guard change known as bolo at 7 a.m. The evening bolo will be the final change and walk of the day. During the hours of the day, the Arlington National Cemetery is open to visitors. The tomb guards will perform several changing of the guard and wreath-laying ceremonies and walking the mat. During summer hours, the changing of the guard ceremony takes place every half hour, and during winter hours, every hour. Although all walks are important, the most coveted walk for a tomb guard is the midday noon moon walk. During the same time, the trainees perform mirror time, conduct uniform preparation, study knowledge, check in wreaths, and alert the tomb guards of the next changing of the guard.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
While guarding the tomb, sentinels do not display rank insignia. This is done so as not to outrank the unknown soldier, whatever their rank may have been. The tomb is guarded 24 hours a day and 365 days a year. So after the evening bolo, no ceremonial changes and walks in battle dress uniforms are performed until the next morning's bolo. Guarding the tomb. In March 1926, the U.S. decided to post a permanent guard over the tomb of the unknown soldier. Soldiers from the nearby Fort Myers, members of the 3rd Cavalry Regiment, nicknamed the Brave Rifles, were first assigned to guard the tomb. At first, they were enlisted only during daylight hours and served just to discourage visitors to climb on or disrespect the monument. By 1937, guarding the tomb became a round-the-clock job, and on April 6th,
Because, you know, if the soldiers weren't there, would people try to climb on that monument? Yeah.
1948, the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, known as the Old Guard, was designated as the Army's official ceremonial unit, tasked with guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier. Old Guard myths. The tomb guard sentinels have a bit of an intimidating reputation, and it's all thanks to some pretty fantastic urban myths that have surrounded the Old Guard for decades. Fortunately, we're here to separate fact from fiction. According to one urban legend, sentinels live for 2 years in a barracks under the tomb and are not allowed to.
All right, guys. We will see y'all tomorrow and finish up 6.1.